Ooh,
Yes.
I think it's going to be a little spicy. I think this one might be a little spicy. We got some good topics.
Let's bring the spice.
Let's bring the spice, man. Let's do it. So there's a few things we want to talk about, but first, check out that shirt Leo's wearing right there, guys. Go check it out. You can actually get that merch now. It'll be down in the description of our YouTube channel. You can go check it out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Come on.
I think it's not a bad design. I was trying to get some feedback, and it's like when we were doing it, I was like, it needs to look like Jumpman or like Kobe or something recognizable. So when people see it, they'll be like, "What's that?"
So you didn't ask me to dunk or anything like that?
I mean, Coach, can you dunk yet?
I don't know. I haven't tried in a while, so I don't know. I definitely can't do it right now, man. I was messing around and straining my groin, man, playing hoops. So I need to take some time off.
Old man syndrome over there?
Old man syndrome for sure.
Oh, so you got it. See, when you get older, you just have to use the old man strength, move slower, and just position.
Yes.
You can't do that quick.
Play at a different pace.
Yeah.
Play at a different pace for sure.
Yeah. So one of the things we wanted to talk about is elite guard play. And what does an elite guard look like? Like, give me elite guard 101. What's a few things you can do to separate yourself as an elite guard?
Man, that's a great question. One of the key things, and I'm telling you, if you look at a lot of elite guards, they are vocal. They are vocal. Yeah. They're a quarterback. They're an extension of a coach on the floor. And some people think elite guard is just a guy that can dribble real well. He would dribble in one spot. Nah, elite guard is a leader. Okay. And I will add this to it. And if I have a guard on a team and he's one of the fastest dudes on the court, but he's last in every single running drill or in the middle of the pack in running drills, he cannot be put in the elite guard category because he's never playing with full effort.
Yep.
And so there's this expectation where it's like, hey, I want to be a leader and I want to be an elite guard, so to speak. And I want people to follow me. Fellas, ladies, gentlemen, however you want to put it. Nobody is following someone that gives piss poor effort, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Minimal effort.
Yeah.
Just give it your all. Leave it out there on the court. Oh.
Yeah. That's
Well.
that's one of the things that I was really just enjoying as a former player and watching you guys at Go Get It, coaching you and Rich. And the things that I was because Jade was there, one of the coaches going to help out as well. And I was just like, I can't help but laugh when I see them doing things and then knowing what's fixing to happen is you're about to run because you're not listening, you know?
Yeah.
And it's so funny because, I don't know if basketball's starting to swing back to more team ball play than the more one-on-one games, what we saw with March Madness and stuff.
Yeah.
But like what I see a lot from elite guards for me is the guards not only talk but listen.
Yeah.
Like you're listening to your team, you're listening to your coach, and you're verbalizing everything on the court, you know?
I mean, Wade, when I've been around great coaches, like one of the things that they say, the superstars want to be coached. Like you think about it. Like we can go back. We can talk about the Jordans. We can talk about the Kobes. Like they listened to Phil Jackson. They allow Phil Jackson to bring out the best in them, allow themselves to be challenged by that.
Yeah.
So if guys like that can do it, then why can't some of these young kids do it, right? And a lot of them do. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of coachable kids, but you hear one of the best qualities is being coachable.
Yeah.
If you have talent and you have skills and you're coachable, you will stand out in any crowd. There's no question about it. And your ability to talk to teammates. Yeah. So me and you can be teammates and you may do something wrong. You may make a mistake. How I talk to you is key because if I just, matter of fact, just blast you in front of everyone, you might be like, yo, man, come on. You're going to come back at me.
Yeah.
Or, I can approach it like this. Hey, Wade, don't worry about it. I got you on the next one. When that dude overplays you, I'm going to hit you with that back door. You'll get it on the next one. That carries way more weight.
You actually reminded me, I don't know if you're going to remember this because it's been so long ago.
Okay.
When we first met, it was at Ransom Heart, right?
Yeah.
And we played a pickup game. And one of the things, and I'm, fat old guy out of shape, trying to run up and down full court. And I'm like, ooh, I'm huffing. But one of the things I noticed immediately from you when playing with you, and I didn't know your background or anything at the time, I was like, you were talking. You're like, hey, move over here with the spacing. And I was just like, okay, this guy knows how to play basketball, because we were playing with some guys that really never played basketball and stuff. Yeah. And so that makes sense to your point. Yeah. Like, you see those great leaders, they want to be coached, they talk like, man.
And on both ends, right? Like you're going to, as you're coming up, especially in high school, even middle school, right? You're going to have some kids that may not know where to be on the court. They're learning an offense. They may be confused about an offense. Who are those elite guards that are directing guys and before they make a move? Yep. Like, you may have a guard that comes down the court, and this is for all you guards. Especially right now at the middle school, high school level. If a defense is set, why would you attack right away?
Yeah.
See, when you get ball movement, in elite guards, they understand that stuff. Where they say, hey, let's get some ball. Let's see that ball move 3 to 4 times where the defense is in chase mode. When that defense is chasing, they're trying to recover on every single ball movement. So what happens is that opens up driving lanes. But a lot of times you'll see guards, they'll come down. You'll have 2 guys in backside help, and they'll still try to drive. And it's like, not the right play.
Drove right into it.
Turnover,
whatever.
You can simplify the game. Yeah. And we talk about triple threat, right? Like, it is, man.
That video.
Wade, a video came up on my feed about Kyrie talking about something that literally we discussed in practice the other day, and he brought up triple threat. I immediately sent it to my boys and was like, it's interesting.
Yeah, someone else at a high level.
Kyrie Irving talked about triple threat, reading things from the triple threat position.
Yeah.
If you really watch basketball and study basketball, the ability to jab step and create things and see a defender react when I catch the ball into a triple threat, I'm actually a threat. I need to be a threat to do many different things, right? And sometimes players, they catch it and they go. They haven't assessed what's available.
Yes.
Right? And so and there's so many different things when I say what's available, okay? So if I'm going to drive right, say a defense is giving me right, and they may be giving me right for a reason, because they may be a non-shooter in the corner. They're like, oh, we want him to go this way.
That way. Yeah.
But we also know when he goes right, he's not able to pull up as well. So my job as I catch it, if I'm catching it at a top wing position, is to be able to catch it in jab step or catch it and evaluate. Say I want to get middle. Yep. I may catch a guy on the right wing, jab him right to get him to shift. Now the middle opens up for me, and I may have a shooter on the left wing. So I want to get the ball to the shooter. Or I may have a big guy in a dunker spot that can finish well. So these are things that you got to be processing through and thinking through. But if I catch and go right away against a set defense, a lot of times that's tough.
Yeah, it's like a quarterback, basically.
100%.
You're reading the field. You're reading everything in front of you. It's like, that's the thing that's so key, I think, for especially as a point guard position. Yeah. You like, and we talked about it the other day. It's like we were watching a few games, and like the guards that would drive in the middle and turn their back, and I'm like, what are you can't see the floor. You can't see the defense. You can't see your teammates. Like, what are you doing there? Because it's like, it's just so many times that I've found that, like, that triple threat, like you're talking about, and we even talked about it when you sent that video to me too. I was like, man, that's what Bird did. That's what Jordan did. That's what Kobe did. It's Kyrie does. Durant, like all of them, they face up and see what's being given to them.
Yep.
And it's almost like, if you guys have watched MMA fighting, it's the fighters talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
You take what they give you.
Yes.
And basketball is the same way. Like, if you see someone, like I was talking to Gabe at Go Get It, and I'm a lefty, and people would always, once they figured out I was a lefty, they'd shade my left.
Yeah.
But that played perfectly into a signature move I had, which was go right. When they collapse, I spin back and finish with my left. And so it's like that. Like you're talking about, you see the court, you kind of analyze, here's what I'm going to do before you do it, you know?
And it takes time to get that where it's like clockwork, right?
Yeah.
But if you never practice it, you will never get it. And in the off season, that's when you should be working on that stuff, because you're trying to perfect it. And some people look at off seasons like, oh, I just need to play a bunch of games, right? I just want to sign up for an AAU team, and I just want to go play a bunch of games.
Ball out and get seen.
Ball out. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
But where's their development?
Yeah.
How much practice time
that's
are you getting, right? Like it's
hot
like,
button right there.
and I know it's some coaches may disagree with me on that. That's totally fine.
Well, what good is it to be seen if you're not developing?
100%.
You know?
It's like I talk to our kids all the time on Go Get It, saying, listen, we want to be prepared. So when we start playing, like we've been practicing for about 3 weeks now.
Right.
And we're going to practice another week, and then we'll play in a tournament. And I was telling the guys, we're preparing you. So when you get into tournaments should be easy, or games should be easy. Games should be fun. I heard it said where practice is like hell and games are like heaven.
Yeah.
And
I like
where I'm working so hard in practice, by the time I get to games, it's like, man, this is fun. This is exciting.
I like
and
that.
you want it to be able to flow like that. So I'm just, all that stuff plays into it.
Well, I got a question then for you, Coach. For elite guards, how should an elite guard look in practice?
Man, that's, whoa, Coach. Man,
You said it, so I'm just
how should a elite guard look in practice? Man, elite guard should be leading in they should be the first one. A coach says, hey, I need 4 guys out, right? They should be the first one up. When a coach is doing a particular drill, whether you're doing full court dribbling drills, right?
Yep.
That person should be the first person on the line. In sprinting drills, that person should be given 100%, 100 all the time. Defensively, they should be that leader on defense. They should know what it's like to be in a split position. They should know what it's like to be in a help position. You know, we got a lot of high school guys that play defense like they're in the NBA, meaning that NBA defense is different than college and high school.
Yes.
One, because you got 24 seconds total to score, but you got 8 seconds to get the ball past half court. So, and I always tell kids, so what are you left with 24 seconds, and you take 8 seconds away? You're left with 16 seconds to score. All right, so you may chase a guy like Steph Curry because you're trying to stay attached to him.
Yeah.
But there's also help on the backside that's waiting for him to come around on the curl or different things. Or you may ice Steph Curry. You may trap him at the top every time he gets the ball. He crosses half court. So there's different schemes in that. High school, it's not like that. You got to understand what is true help side defense, help ball side.
Yep.
So if the ball's on the opposite side, your guy's on the opposite
Where you
side.
at? Yeah.
You react, you're able to come over and take a charge if a guy's driving. So there's so many different things. Elite guard needs to be understanding those things. And man, there's so many things defensively that when
I was going to ask, but they look like for defense.
Man, when I see a kid say, hey, I'm in help, but they're attached to a guy on the opposite side of the ball, I'm like, no, you're not in help. So as an elite guard, you're still not understanding.
Not helping your team.
Because you're not helping your team. Like I'm telling my teammate, right? He's yelling, I got ball, right? So I'm trusting that he has the ball.
Yeah.
Then I say to him, because he can't see me, I'm on the backside of him.
Yep.
I got your help. But then I'm really not in help position. So how can he trust me? So
Well, they turn their heads too.
ball watch.
Like I was trying to tell Wyatt this is old school coaching, right?
Yeah.
Where you take your hands up and
Yeah.
you use one hand to point to the ball and one hand to point to your defender.
The
If you
good
can't see
old
both,
pistol. Yep.
Then you need to sink.
Yep.
Like it's like
And it's letting offensive players get below you.
yeah.
Like there's certain things and you're moving. And I share with guys that if I'm in help position and a guy makes a cross court pass, I should be able to close out. But when I close out, what is my intention when I'm closing him out? Am I trying to chase him off the 3-point line? Which way am I trying to send him? Like players are not processing this information.
Yeah.
So like it's the whole thing, chess against checkers. So if I'm in a basketball game, I should be playing chess, meaning that everything I'm trying to do, I'm trying to make it difficult for you to score.
Yep.
Like you hear us say this in practice, contain and contest. So if I can make a team shoot like always, like the whole thing is we make you shoot tough jump shots the whole game. We have literally done our job and we should win that game.
Oh yeah. By the fourth quarter, you're gassed.
By the fourth quarter, because they're like, man,
it can't hit anything. It's like you're tired.
Like what are they in? They're tired. They're not letting us get to the basket. They're taking charges. We're doing all the little things. Man, if you get 5 guys doing that, coach, I mean, man, it's beautiful.
looks good.
It's beautiful defense, right?
Yeah.
And you said something earlier about is team basketball coming back, right? Look at Denver, right? When you look at the Denver Nuggets play and you look at a guy like the Joker, right? Jokic, man. I mean, he really one-on-one, if he went old school, like he'd probably drop 40 easily. You can't stop him. Like he's too crafty. But that guy is constantly trying to make guys better around him.
Yep.
Then I was looking at the Kings play against the Warriors the other day, and I was watching Sabonis and his level of, like, look at Joker and you got some of these big centers that are literally top 10 in assists. Like, let's be real. How many times? When have you seen that? And it's because
it's been a while.
They understand the game. Like Sabonis, man, he catches the ball sometimes at high post. His backdoor passes are on point.
Yep.
And it's like guards love playing with big men that play that way.
Yep.
But then it's also the guards that know that I can pass and get off the ball. I don't always have to try to ISO, right?
Yeah.
And so, I hope team basketball is coming back.
I hope so too, because I feel like, in a way, I like social media in the sense because it helps get kids noticed, tells their stories and things like that. But I also feel like it's been such a detriment because now you have all these kids, all they can think about is low light highlight reels and the one-on-one play. Yeah. And so you have so many kids, like you said, Coach, that just aren't developing because all they want to work on is I just want to work on my one-on-one game, but they're not a good basketball player. So it's like, there's nothing wrong with being good at one-on-one. I mean, like Kobe, he was probably one of the best one-on-one players you'll see in a long time, right? But like, I've always felt like basketball is about being an all-around good player. And that made me want to ask you about defense because I saw a really good thing on Instagram.
Okay.
And it was directed to high school kids and college kids that want to get to the next level, right? And it showed two doors. One is a door with lots of people lining up, and one is a door with just one guy and a coach. Yeah. And it says offense, defense. Yeah. And so I really think I just want to encourage all you guards out there. Man, defense can separate you. You hear it everywhere. Oh, you got to score. If you're an undersized guard, you got to score. You got that's partially true, right? But like also, you know what gets you on the floor easy is defense.
Oh, there's no question. If I walk into an AAU tournament, okay, and there's 100 kids there, and out of those 100 kids, there's like 30 like what we would consider top-notch guards,
right?
What is the thing that distinguishes you from the next guy? What is the thing that separates you? What is it, right? I tell my boys, I call off-season separation season.
Yes,
meaning
I love that.
Every year I should be separating. We got to put that on a shirt. Right?
Yeah.
I should be separating from those guys that I was in the pack with before.
Yeah.
So what are the things that I'm doing that's helping me separate from them?
Yeah.
If you can guard 94 feet, can you imagine? Like you're the only guy out of those 30 top guards that's guarding 94 feet. You can't tell me that coaches are not going to be like, what? You mean I don't have to force this kid to play defense? I don't have to coach
up the effort. Yes.
Like, what? Like you will stand out.
Man.
A lot of people talk about playing defense.
Yeah.
But not a lot of people really want, like, I want to shut you down. Like that mindset of like, yes, I scored 20. But the cool part is you only scored 6. That's a separator.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have opportunities. There's gonna be some kids, and if you're playing in the AAU ball, that you're gonna go up against kids that are ranked in the nation, that are ranked in your state, etc. And you may know who they are through Instagram or whatever it may be. But I'm saying this, like if I get a chance to go up against you and I don't have a name,
I'm shutting you down.
I'm letting you know right now. Like that's the mindset. Yep. That's what it should be, right? Like those were the things that like okay, I know who you are. Okay. And the kids that have that talent, you need to be ready because you have a target on your back. And all the top guys, they have a target on their back, meaning that everybody wants to go at them. So are you doing the work?
Yes.
To be prepared to handle what's getting ready to come at you. So be careful what you ask for, players.
Man, I was talking to Coach Jade about this too because she was a defensive player, and I was like, it's almost it's counterintuitive, but it's like what the Bible says: the first will be last, the last will be first. Mm-hmm. And you think about defense; it's always the last thing that people think about, right? And so if you make that your thing, it leads to offense.
Oh, yeah.
And it makes you a better offensive player. Because like if you're catching 3 steals a game, 5 steals a game, how many times are you gonna have a chance to have a breakaway or a dunk? And you want highlights, you want to get seeing guys breakaway dunk from a steal. Like I think that's some. So bullet points for elite guard was to talk on the floor, defense, talking to teammates, practice, being the leader in practice. Oh man, that still gets me, coach, because I see it so much. It's like the loaf. The loaf is what gets me. It kills me.
There was I think it was Gino, Coach Gino at UConn. I think it was Coach Hurley and him and Don Staley. Don Staley said this thing: if you're coming to South Carolina, and I may be misquoting this, but if you're coming to South Carolina, you're not coming here to be the leading scorer. You're coming here to win.
Yeah,
right. There's a different mindset. So we're recruiting for that. You're gonna get drafted in WNBA, all that good stuff. And you look at same thing with Coach Hurley over there at UConn, and he was just talking about, I know who I'm recruiting. Like I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at parents. I'm looking at, how that kid, how he's acting at a tournament.
Yep.
Is he about team or is he about individual?
Yep.
Is he chasing the bag? Like it's all these different things.
It's so counterintuitive.
So
it's
counterintuitive.
Like,
but both of them, they were like, I'm not coaching effort. Like if I'm recruiting you and I got to coach effort, and I'm almost positive Gino said this too. Both 2 UConn coaches, man, UConn got 2 excellent coaches. Man, boy, I love watching UConn play, both men and women, right? But a coach should never have to coach effort. I'm going to say it again. A coach should never have to coach effort. Coach's job is to be teaching, educating the player on understanding the offense, understanding like schemes, understanding bringing a unit together. 5 guys on the court, 5 girls on the court, playing as one. That is ultimately, really kind of like what that coach should be doing. The coach is that they're that CEO, so to speak, right, of a company. A CEO has multiple people under him that are doing phenomenal jobs, and he's just like, I hired well, right? But effort.
Ooh. Well, and the thing is, too, Coach, because you only get this opportunity once. You can't go back in time and say, man, when I was 16, I wish I would have started working out, or I wish I would have you can say that when you're in your late 20s or when you're old like me, but you don't want to, like you always say all the time, you don't want to live with that regret.
Nope.
And it's so interesting how, man, I don't want to use the word because my coaches used to say it and my wife makes fun of me, but lackadaisical. It's just like hey, it's cool. It's practice. I'm here. What's up? IG. Hey, how's it going? I don't know. It's like, I'm like, when you're in the practice, you want to get better.
Yeah.
And so for me, the elite guard you're talking about, it's like, if you want to be elite, you gotta want to get better.
Well, that's man, I think I was I heard this, Chris Rivers, and I want to make sure I'm quoting it right. He mentioned something about we're in the too cool generation.
Too cool, yeah.
It's like I have to look cool as opposed to no, I'm coming out there and I'm gonna shine because of my game, right? And us being believers in God, man, that whole sense of doing things with that godly excellence. And sometimes, man, you hear somebody say, hey, man, I'm a Christian, and they're lazy and they don't work hard. It's like, nah, it's not a good look. Yeah. It's not a good look. And so
that's why you get so many people that are mad about if you see spending on things, and they're like, well, why aren't you using that money for something else? So it's, you don't want that to happen. Right. So it's like
similar mentality.
Yes. And it's, oh man.
Hoops, coach. I mean, listen, God and hoops. You guys know this is Beyond the Arc, God and hoops. We love hoops, but there's no question that we love God even more. And so I don't ever want that to be missed out. And when we have these talks and these things that we're sharing with you and the next generation and the why do we coach? Why do we do this? It's because we're truly trying to impact the next generation, understanding that you have a window of basketball.
Yeah.
And that window is not your whole life.
Right.
And what I mean by that, by playing this game, because ultimately it's a game that can be used to change lives.
Everything. Yeah.
It could change so
Generations.
much. Generations. Like
Yeah.
the places that I've seen, because I had an opportunity to play this game, like I'm so blessed. Like, and I look back at it, I don't have any regrets. Like I gave it my all. I left it out there on the court. Now there's things I didn't make it as far as some guys, and I'm not going to pretend like I did, right? But I've been very fortunate because people saw something in me, and it was like, oh, I believe in you, but I also see your work ethic, right? And so I got these different opportunities. But one of the things that I looked at through that process, I learned that, like, hold up, man, this is great. I love playing this game, but I love teaching this game and helping others and imparting to others more than others. So it's like, oh man, all right, cool. So young fellas and ladies, you have no idea what your work ethic is going to lead you into for the rest of your life.
Yep.
So when you have this window of playing the game of basketball, please take it serious and leave it out there on the court, because you won't have regrets from it.
Well, it's just, and shout out to John who played for the Lions, because like that's a kid that has the opportunity to change not only his life but generations.
Oh yeah.
Like, and it's like that, and this is kind of a subsect to what we're talking about, Coach, with the elite guard play, and I want us to kind of dish on this a little bit, but like leadership. What is good leadership? And I think for both of us, we pull examples from the Bible, and what people don't understand is, you know, we talk about all these things about talking on the court, giving the most effort, but the thing that stands out the most, at least in my mind, is servanthood.
Yeah.
Right? The ability to say them before me, team before me.
Yeah.
And what's funny is the way it works, because the kingdom works like this too.
Yep.
When you do that,
Oh yeah.
God elevates you.
Yeah.
He elevates you. And so like that's the thing that I want to really encourage a lot of you guys that are ballers out there, is to think about servant leadership.
Yeah.
It's sacrificial.
Yeah.
It's sacrificial. And Jordan even talks about this. And if you're going to listen to somebody, listen to someone who's done it at the highest level, right?
He's done it, yeah.
You know, and he says in an interview, they were talking to him and there's like, oh, are you excited about getting the scoring record or da-da-da, whatever the accolades were, right? And he's like, I'm not really concerned about that. I just want to win. And the way I was always raised is that when you win, all those other things come along. And it's like God says, seek the kingdom of God first.
Yeah.
And all these things will be added to you.
Yes.
And so it's like, I wanted to hear your thoughts on that, because I've always felt like leadership, that you're not the guy that, you know, it's not what a lot of people think with leadership. It's hard. It can be tough, but it's sacrificial and it's servanthood.
Yeah. Great leaders are excited when you succeed.
Yes. Oh, I love that.
I mean, you
Ooh, I love that, Coach.
Man.
Write that down.
Listen, and I'll say it again. Great leaders are excited when you succeed. And you have heard me talk about Keith Jennings a lot. Like a lot of people have heard me talk about Keith Jennings. Like, and I know Keith doesn't, there's times it'd be like, nah, man, you know, and I'm like, no, man, he literally changed my life, but he was excited when I did well.
Yeah.
Whether we were working out or playing pickup games or playing in pro-ams, like, and I was like, man, this dude is a bona fide leader. And if you talk to all of his former teammates, if you ask any of them, like, right, like, you know, guys that he played in college with, that I ended up becoming pretty good friends with, guys like Calvin Talford, you know, Rodney English, Greg Dennis. These are guys that were like balling at East Tennessee State, right? And what they said about him, he was a guy that could have probably averaged 25 to 30 points a game probably in college if he wanted to, because he shot the ball well. When you're a 5'7" point guard and you shoot 59% from the field for the season,
nasty.
that's including
nasty,
threes.
Coach.
We're not just talking about like, dude, those are some numbers, right? And so, but he's also, I think he's 5th all time in NCAA in assists. So it's that, how do I serve others well?
Yeah.
And I was talking to, you know, my kids about this. I remind them of it. And sometimes, you know, we all have this selfishness in us, in a sense of like, man, what about me? And all this kind of stuff. And it's like, and I talked to my boys about, man, if you guys spend time helping each other get better or seeing the strengths in each other? Do you know the strength in your brother? Do you know the strength in your teammates?
Build it.
Do you know what they do well?
Yeah.
Help them like build like confidence in that first as they're working on their weaknesses. And a lot of times players will look at their teammates' weaknesses and they will call that out more than they will call out their strengths.
You hear it a lot in practice.
You hear it a lot, right?
Yeah.
Because you never know where that player is going to be
Right.
years down the road, because that may be that one player behind the scenes that he is working and you have no idea. Right? I'm watching it before my eyes with my youngest boy Levi, and I'm watching his improvement, and I know like he hasn't played a lot over the last 2 or 3 years on his team.
Yeah.
He hasn't got a lot of minutes. But me and him have had several talks about that. Like, yeah, bud, like let's get to work.
Yeah.
But I've watched his work ethic and behind the scenes that he's doing behind the scenes. I'm not gonna tell to everybody. We'll keep that between him and I. But as Deion Sanders says, he's coming. He's coming.
I love it.
And but he's one of those kids that has always been an encourager to his teammates.
Yeah.
And so once his skill catches up and all that stuff with his work ethic and his mind, the way he thinks, man, I'm excited for whatever future God has for him.
Well, I love watching Levi push other kids. Like, especially my son Wyatt. I love him getting pushed by Levi because I'm like, it's like, hey, he was throwing the ball hard on passes. I was like, he's teaching you to catch it. Like, I was like, yeah, that's what you want. He's making you better. Like, and that's so true, Coach. Man, I feel like when you get around people too, because what's the old saying? Like, if you say one thing negative to somebody, it takes 5 good encouragements to get them back to where they were, right? And I'm not saying like just be positive to be positive.
Yeah.
I'm saying like true building, right?
Yeah.
Building. It's like we have to understand it's like a leader. And I watched this too as you talk about it, and it really resonated with me with what you said when you're excited for others. I watched some of these benches, and like you can tell the teams that are together. Because when somebody does something good, everybody else celebrates.
They're like clapping, like yeah. You know, the teams that are yelling D up, D up, D up.
Yeah, they celebrate together.
It's like, and it's even talking about that, right? You're talking about players if you're sitting on the bench. Are you one of those players? And you can take this as a question. Are you one of those players that when you're hoping for your teammate to mess up, because you're like, man, if they mess up,
I can get on the court.
Right? And as opposed to saying, I want them to succeed. I'm going to get on the court because I'm going to earn it.
Yeah.
And you earn it in practice.
Yep.
That's at the end of the day, and even if you don't get as many minutes, what is it stirring in you?
Yeah.
Like those are the questions sometimes I ask kids. Is it stirring you to work hard? Do you know why? Do you understand why? Or do you be like, man, that coach just don't like me? That's like the default, right? Now, don't get me wrong. There's some bad coaches out there. It is what it is. But it's usually not because a coach doesn't like you.
Right.
There's usually a reason. You got to ask yourself, what is that reason?
What is it? Yeah, don't give them a reason.
Don't give them a reason.
Yeah.
But I would tell you this. Cheer for your teammates.
Yeah.
Cheer for their success. When they're coming off the court for a timeout or a break between quarters or break between halves, give them a high five. Be that first guy out there to dap somebody up.
Yep.
Coaches see that.
Yep.
They look at all of that. Even when they go back and watch film,
they see it.
They see
it.
So, I mean, I know when I'm watching film, I'm glancing at the bench. What is that guy doing? Is that guy looking at somebody behind him talking to him? Is he joking on the bench? Is
he even paying attention?
Paying attention.
Like I had that when Wyatt first started with the Lions this year. I was like, hey, just, learn. This is your first year to learn.
Yeah.
And he was on the bench. He looked at me and I go, why are you looking at me? Look at the game.
Yep.
Look at your teammates. Like, I'm not your coach. That's your coach. That's your teammates. Like, listen.
It's taking advantage. Like if you're a bench guy coming off the bench, but you play good minutes, you have an advantage.
Yep.
Because I get a chance to see what the offense of the
opposing team does. You see their tendencies.
I see what the tendencies. I know if a guy cannot shoot.
Yep.
So I know when I go in the game and I'm guarding him, I'm like, I can help
right
off
in
him.
his jock.
And if there's a guy that can shoot, I'm like, I know to stay attached to him.
Yeah.
I know to like these are things that you can pick up on. I know if a guy likes to crash the offensive boards, I need to box him out.
Yep.
Like these are like little subtle things that I could be learning before I get into a game. But I think the challenge is like, you know, you go back to the social media. Like we know it's good to get kids exposure.
Yeah.
Kids have way more exposure than previous generations. The tendency is like I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna look at this highlight and I want the affirmation.
Yeah.
From that highlight, so I want to get on the court so I can get that affirmation. So I'm not necessarily playing for the love of the game or because I
playing
want
for
to be
highlights
great or
instead of playing.
Yes,
the game.
And it's like, nah. What are you
Yeah.
really playing for? And I that kind of. I know we were talking a little bit earlier about this this state of college basketball. Okay, man, I'm amazed about how many guys who were starters on top level programs.
Yeah.
And they had freedom from the coach, and then they go into the transfer portal.
Yeah. Save that thought. I'm gonna bring up the transfer portal later.
All right.
Save that thought.
All right, coach.
You know, when we were talking about elite guard, because we kind of been on this is so many good things. I hope you guys are taking notes from Coach. It's but when you were talking about it, and really what it comes down to is elite guards are made or broken in practice, right? And this came to me when you were saying this, Coach. Just a biblical image of that is David when he fights Goliath. Like he trained for so many years being a shepherd boy, like literally, like that's like my wife and I were talking about this the other day because like he killed bears and he killed lions and not only killed them, he grabbed their mane and held them down. So like all of that training. And even when Saul was like, yo, he's like, nah, bro, I've been training for this my whole life. And then the moment came, I think, and it's like, what does it say? I forgot how the saying is about preparation, but when a person that's best prepared meets that.
Preparation and
when opportunity meets preparation or something like that,
success.
Right? Yeah, it equals success. And it's just like, man, it's
because you're going to get your opportunity.
Yeah.
The question is, are you prepared?
Are you prepared?
So it's like, am I ready for my at bat?
Yep.
Or am I going to strike out?
Yeah.
Like, so you're going to get the opportunity. Almost, I don't know. It's very few players that haven't gotten an opportunity.
Yeah.
The thing is are they ready?
Yeah. You got to go fight them bears. You got to fight them lions. You got to get ready, man. You got to
come on.
And that's what I love. But like you're saying about it too, with elite guards in practice, it's like Kobe says it all the time. He's like, and Jordan's like, I want to practice to just hurt, you know?
And they practice hard, man. It's like you go back to Jordan and the Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
Now I don't know how many of you guys know about that because I know it's the new school. They don't look at
the 90s.
They're done with the 90s. Yeah, that whole video montage. Oh man, if Jordan is, listen, I can respect every single era, right? Like it's I enjoy watching parts of this era of basketball, right? Especially when it gets to the playoffs. Sometimes especially beginning of the regular season, it's a little bit different, right? Yeah. And so I tend to skew more towards watching college, mainly because they're fighting to get to the
whole
next level,
time,
right?
yeah.
But when playoffs get going, like NBA gets fun.
It gets intense.
And so but Jordan had that Breakfast Club. So you look at Ron Harper was there, which Ron Harper I think he's a junior. His son is like legit. So
is Pippen's son.
Pippen's sons. I mean, both of his sons are solid.
Yeah.
So you're looking at this stuff and you're watching some of these kids come up. Carmelo's son, like they're ballers. But Jordan put that Breakfast Club together. Scottie Pippen was there. I forget who else was there, but they used to meet Jordan early in the morning to work out. And then, to my knowledge, he was having his chef cook them breakfast, right? But they were the Breakfast Club when they were winning those championships. That extra work, they didn't broadcast it to all the other teams.
You don't want to,
you don't know.
You work while they're sleeping.
Exactly.
You know?
And so that whole mindset of putting in that work.
Yeah.
So when that opportunity comes, I'm prepared for that opportunity.
Yep.
And that's
Coach.
that's just a good life lesson in general, right?
Yeah.
Be prepared for the opportunities that God's going to bring your way.
Love it. So that was a lot of really good stuff for all you guys about elite guards, and I mean, not even guards, just basketball player.
Yeah, hoopers.
You know, and so we're going to do this a little different for Ask Coach. I'm actually going to ask you a question because it's been burning in my mind. I've been talking to a few other coaches around the programs here, you know, Coach Barnes and a couple others, and the transfer portal for college basketball. How do you see that's affected high school basketball?
Well, there's a couple things, right?
I'm ready. I
And,
got my notepad. I'm ready, Coach.
Hey, first of all, and seriously, if any of you high school players, especially on the guy side, and I think it benefits both. If you guys are not following Coach Brandon Barnes at Cal State Bakersfield, you might need to follow him because he's dropping gems left and right, especially when it comes to the transfer portal, recruiting, understanding. Like he's dropping gems like left and right.
Yep.
Follow him if you're not, right?
Yep.
Now, let's talk about this is the last year of the COVID year, right? And so a lot of these players have gotten like 5th years. Some of them have gotten like 6 years. Some of these dudes have been playing college football for 6 years. And I don't know how that, I think they got a year when COVID existed and they got another year. I don't know all the rules on that. But so you add that in with the transfer portal. And so we start talking about, and there's so many different directions I'm going to go with this. So I'm going to start with this one first.
Let's start,
Coach.
start it easy and slow for me, Coach.
I was looking at Tennessee, University of Tennessee.
Yeah.
Made it to the Elite Eight. I think it's 2 guys that were in the starting 5, went into the transfer portal. Like, make that make sense to me. Help me understand that, right? And a lot of people was like, oh, well, they're going to get more money in an NIL deal.
Yeah. How long is that going to last, though?
I'm not trying to count someone else's money. I'm not trying to get anybody's bank account. I don't know every kid's situation. But a coach believes in you. You know you're going to get the freedom to play.
Yeah.
From the outside looking in, I'm just trying to understand it because I see it way too often. And then I see some kids that went into the transfer portal last year. They went to a different team, and their numbers actually went down. I'm going to leave the names out of it.
Yeah.
Numbers went down, and they didn't get drafted. Okay? I'm gonna use one example, right? Like, and I don't know Caleb Love. I don't know him personally. I saw him coming as a freshman in North Carolina, and I thought, like, man, this kid can play.
Yeah.
He can play. And I thought he was going to come out after his freshman year, one and done. Went back to North Carolina for his sophomore season. I don't know the circumstances. Following that, he went into the transfer portal. And I think it was after his sophomore year, junior year. Don't quote me on that. Last year, he played at Arizona. Got Pac-12 Player of the Year. And I know he put his name in the draft. I don't know where he's at, but I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, what happened?
Yeah.
You know, here it is. You see this kid, like, what made NBA teams if he was projected to be a first-round pick after his freshman year? How do you
back off? And,
how do they back off? Like, what's going on? And then you look at, the point guard from Duke this year. He's a senior. He gets a COVID year, but he just put his name in the portal. Like, I don't know why he wouldn't go back to Duke, where him and his coach, they had this incredible embrace after the game, and you can see their bond. And I'm like,
yeah.
Well, why is he leaving Duke? I don't know the answer to these things, but I'm asking this question because it's mind-boggling to me. If I feel like you're in a good situation where you have a coach that believes in you, there may be some adversity, but adversity is not a bad thing.
Right.
What's going to make me work? And then you have the guys that go into the portal, okay, and they didn't play much their freshman year. And they're going to leave. They have 0 numbers, but they're going to leave to go to another place.
Who's going to recruit that?
Who's going to like if you're coming from a D2 and you're like averaging like 25, there's going to be some mid-major D1s or even some major D1s, and we saw what Oakland did that they made their roster
Yeah.
off the transfer portal pretty much. A lot of these kids, and I know they're starting center.
Yep.
He's getting ready to move up, but he balled out. That kid showed he can play against anybody, right? That is a step up, which you know how you perform.
Yeah.
But what's happening is some of these kids are just jumping in the transfer portal, and you hear Deion Sanders talk about it, you hear many coaches talk about it. You're just chasing the bag.
Yeah.
And be careful with who you're surrounding yourself with.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Educate
yes.
yourself. There's a lot of people that are only with you for the short term. They're only with you for what you can do for them now. But when it's all said and done, like you got to know who has been through that grind with you,
Yeah.
who has been through the struggles and the beginnings. That's important.
Yeah.
And then you go to some of these kids that are coming out of high school and how it's affected some of these high school kids.
Oh.
Right? And where
Yes.
some kids may haven't had an opportunity to sign with a school in like November. And they're like, no, I'm waiting for that bigger offer.
Yeah.
Not knowing that the most college coaches are going to the transfer portal first, unless you're some top 10 kid.
Unless
Like
you're a
McDonald's
standout.
if you're not a McDonald's All-American,
Like
I'm not saying you're not going to get recruited, but I'm just saying that portal kid,
things work against you. Yep.
proven, maturity. They already know whether or not you're coachable or not.
Yep.
They know these things. They know your maturity level. You've been away from home. You've been away from mom.
Yep.
You've been away from dad.
Kind of know what they're gonna get. Like,
know what they're going to get.
Yep.
If I can get a kid from JUCO that is that most of the kids from JUCO, they're grinding, whether it's they struggle with grades or whether they're like they got overlooked, they're going to make a name for yourself. Look at the kid Connect from Tennessee.
Yep.
Look at his journey. Now the guy's going to be a top 15 pick in the NBA draft. So there's so much on that transfer portal, man.
Well,
So much.
even think of it from a coach's perspective. Some of them only have like 2-3 years to build a team and do something, or they're gone. And
Yep.
so they also have to think about themselves in the sense of like, hey, I want a coaching job. I want to pay my bills. I want to provide for my family. So if they can go to like the portal and they
Yep.
get, like you said, like a known asset for their
Proven.
team,
Yeah.
proven player, like as a high school kid, you don't want to give them reasons not to recruit you, right? So all those things we talked about, your attitude, defense, practice, like, and
There's so much of that. Even social media.
yeah.
Like what
What are you putting on social media? What do you like?
there's times, man, I would see kids post stuff and I'm like,
I'm like, that's not, you don't want people to see that. Like,
even your music
or yes.
on your
Yeah.
on your reels.
Yes.
I've heard college coaches say this. I literally turned away from a kid because of the music
Yeah.
that they were playing. Now that's, like I said, everybody has their own journey.
Yeah.
This is just information from
We're trying to
me
help.
that I'm gathering from coaches. Like I ask a lot of questions. Right?
Yeah.
I'm constantly, I want to learn. I want to educate myself
Yeah.
because I want to be able to help the kids I coach,
Yep.
and also my boys. I want to help them understand that whole recruiting process in
Yeah.
today's day and age.
Yep.
Because it's much different. It's not like it was when I was in high school or my brother
Yeah,
or
it's
my
so
friends
different.
around. It's a whole different
Yeah.
ball game. So you have to understand that, and then how do I make myself stand out on and off the court?
Yeah.
Man, books, kids, get in the classroom, do your homework, get ahead. Some people's like, oh, I don't need the SAT scores. It's not going to hurt you. If I have a high SAT score, whether I show it to the college
It
or not,
helps. It's another.
helps.
It's another thing that helps you get recruited.
Another tool.
Yep.
And just another thing I will add to the kids is let others speak about your game.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Let others, like, seriously. And then coaches, when you do speak about your players, don't set them up for failure. And then part of it, like, because it turns coaches off. I've asked coaches be like, man, this coach said this player was this. Then when I watched the kid play, he was lazy. Like he didn't play any defense. He was one dimensional, yada yada. But the coach had talked this kid up, and I'm like, you put that target on that kid's back when he really is not ready.
He wasn't ready for it,
right?
yep.
And so it's preparing that kid. So when you speak of him, you're telling the truth. I'm not just exaggerating, right? I want to tell the truth about players that I coach. And that's why that's why I'm on my players when I'm training them, like, you need to have this.
Yeah.
Okay, can you score at all 3 levels?
Yeah.
Do you know how to pass? Like, you know how many kids don't know how to pass and they don't think ball handling is a part of passing?
Or how to step into a pass. Like,
Meet a pass, right?
Yeah.
Or how to throw a bounce pass,
Yeah.
or understanding when, what the difference of when I drive and I'm in traffic, am I making direct line passes right in the guys' bodies in their hands, right?
Yep.
Am I passing high or am I passing low?
Yeah.
Like these little different things and all of this stuff. And I know we're bouncing around into stuff because we were just talking about the portal, but a lot of this stuff plays a role from high school guys.
Yeah.
Like the game has changed. If you're a high school player and you think people are just running after you and chasing you, I think it was 2,500 guys were in the transfer portal.
ooh,
So
that is a lot.
So you think about how many. So if we talk about just D1 schools, how many D1 schools are nationwide, and you think about how many players are in the transfer portal,
Yeah.
and then you start to factor in like these high school guys that are like, I'm that dude. Ooh, man, you're up against way more. And so the better you prepare yourself on the court and off the court, the better chance you have of being recruited. That's just facts.
Yep. And that's, man, I love that, Coach, because you were talking about, preparing these kids because of the portal and things like that, and talking about letting other people talk for your game.
Yeah.
My dad used to have this saying: "A job well done is a job well done is a job well said." And
Yes.
you're not the one that's saying it, right? Somebody else is speaking it for you.
Yep, 100%.
And so it's, man,
It carries way more weight.
it does.
Like it's.
I think
if-
that's why I don't like LeBron. Because he's like, I'm the kid, I'm like, man, let someone else anoint you, and then I would probably be more on board. No, I'm just joking, LeBron.
Oh, man.
You're amazing. You are amazing.
Yeah.
But
It's man, we're in a tough era. Like, Jordan is my all-time favorite. Like I think most people know that, right? And one of the things I think about, like, I don't know LeBron personally, right? But I do think about this guy's journey.
yeah.
It's interesting. Like, I would love to know more.
I would love to hear his
because
story.
I would love to hear more about that, because you hear the beginnings he's come from the stories about his mom, either being on drugs, selling drugs, and all this kind of stuff. And then here it is LeBron has been a guy that's never been in trouble, right? Like,
He's
think about
been
that.
straight laced.
And there's things about LeBron that some people like and dislike, and I get it. Don't be wrong.
He's
right?
on a pedestal. People are going to try to knock him off it.
And we get it. It's the same thing as, like, as much as I love Jordan as a player, Jordan's off the court stuff.
Oh, he had some
greatest, right?
shenanigans for sure.
And so we look at that, and it's one of the things that challenges me in life.
Yeah.
Like understanding, like, when you and I talk, like, we do have a responsibility, not only as coaches, but as husbands, as fathers, and knowing other kids that we're fathering. Man, we do have a huge responsibility. So, and I was sharing this with my boys the other day, man, like, if I was to mess up, right? God keep, be at the center of my life and surround me around people that are going to tell me the truth and love. Like, there's a wake of destruction that comes with that, right? And that's one of my prayers for leaders, and why it's so important. We talked about it before about being fathered, right? I want to be fathered by God first and foremost. So it allows me. Now, I want to see a lot of these young men at the pro level, the college level, the high school level, to be fathered by God.
Yeah.
Because the material stuff will come and go.
Yep.
There's what's in today is not going to be in tomorrow. You can go get you a brand new Bugatti Chiron. That thing, 10 years from now is not going to be the same as a car 10 years from now. Now, don't get me wrong, Bugattis carry value and all that kind of stuff. I like my sports cars. But at the end of the day, that can't be your identity.
Yep.
And sometimes basketball, it becomes a kid's identity, a player's identity, where once it's taken away, like, it's like, well, what am I? Who am I? What do I do? And you hear that among pro athletes all the time.
Yeah, you're seeing it with Kelsey right now, who retired from the Eagles. Like, he's like, he literally said, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah. And that's a challenge. I think it was some pro basketball players were talking about it, like how rough it was for them when basketball was taken away. And I was like, man, never looked at it like that, right? So there has to be more more to us than
100%.
that, right? And so, and what we offer the next generation, and the Bible says you will know them by their fruit.
Love that.
You will know them by their fruit. So I'm hoping that even on this podcast that we're producing the fruit that will help others, right?
Yes.
I'm hoping that they will know us by our fruit.
Yes. That is so true. Guys, I hope you literally took notes for what Coach is talking about here, because it's so stinking good.
I appreciate
So
it,
good, Coach. Yeah. All right, guys, I think we've pretty much covered most of what we wanted to talk about, right? Yeah. So if you guys could please just share the podcast, it helps us out a lot. Leave us a review. Leave us a review on Spotify, leave us a review on Apple, wherever you listen to it. That'll help us a ton.
Yeah.
The merch that Leo's got on.
Come on.
Check it out. We're going to get this thing rolling, baby.
Yes. Come on, Wade.
Let's go.
Let's go.